Are you a brewer looking to open, grow, or plan your next move? I'm Ted Zeller, liquor law attorney at Norris McLaughlin. I've spent my career working with breweries, helping them navigate the regulations that come with this industry at the municipal, county, state, and federal levels. From first permits to expansion into new markets, my team serves as legal counsel on licensing, compliance, and distribution. If you're ready to plan your next move or need legal guidance, I am here to help. Feel free to call me at 484-765-2220 or email me at tzeller@norris-law.com.
She's like, fuck it, I'm going to apply. And I did. And like 20 minutes after submitting my application, the CEO calls me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And was like, well, like, listen, here's what's happening. We're getting a lot of like people who work in beer marketing but don't understand journalism and have no journalism experience applying. And then we're getting a lot of like sports reporters who are like, I love beer, but they don't understand like the 3-tier system, what it means to work in a regulated industry. And that's not really right either. And I was like, my friend, you were waiting for me. Like, I am your unicorn.
Welcome back to BrewedAt podcast. I'm your host, Richie Tevlin, joined as always by Evan Blum. Blum. Getting it started early. So we welcome Jessica Infante from BrewBound, managing editor.
Yeah, hello.
So we're getting all the breaking news here. Hard-hitting news at BrewedAt. We had Dave Infante on, our only other beer reporter we've had on.
And your only other Infante.
Only other Infante. So you guys are not related.
We don't think so.
So I've told people that you guys are coming on, or that we're coming on, and people have asked me like, "Oh, is that Dave's wife, Dave's sister?" I'm like, surprisingly, not at all. It's just like a wild coincidence that you guys are in the same industry, and then you guys are friends also, which is kind of like crazy.
Yeah. So we are really good friends, but we also, in addition to both being beer journalists, which is a weird job in itself, we're both from the same part of New Jersey. We went to like brother sister Catholic high schools. We did not know each other, and I'm a little older. I feel like we probably are like 7th cousins somewhere, but neither of us wants to do 23andMe to figure it out.
Yeah.
But like back in his Thrillist days, Thrillist had him do a video about a bagel store, which happened to be the bagel store in my brother's neighborhood in Brooklyn, and the video would just play on loop. So he would be in there and be like, this guy, like, do we know him? And he like kind of looks like we could be cousins.
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
yeah, when I finally met him, I was like, fam, guess who's my friend now? So
That's funny.
just weird.
So I guess we won't start your high school days, but you started at Syracuse. Mm-hmm. You went to journalism school there?
I did.
Cool. Was it Newhouse?
Yes.
That's awesome. We had another Syracuse grad on, what's his name? From Hendrix.
Oh, Stephen Grass?
Stephen Grass. Do you know Stephen Grass?
I do not.
He created Hendrix Gin and Sailor Jerry Rum.
Oh,
But our own
Narragansett.
What?
In one meeting, he pitched Sailor Jerry and Narragansett and Hendrix Gin in one singular meeting.
Yeah, that's a lot. But you don't know, he's like purposely, you don't really know who he is.
No, he's like not
Very
in the
mysterious.
pantheon of orange people, but he should be.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Cool. So you went to journalism school, and with the hope of getting directly into becoming a journalist, a news reporter?
So my major was magazine journalism, which
Okay.
I don't even think exists anymore. I think now it's just a whole magazine, newspaper, online.
Yeah.
People who should really have done anything else with their lives.
Well,
And
you're doing something about as
doing
close as it.
right? I'm doing it all. Yeah, I wanted to be like a magazine writer. I never actually did that. But after college, I wrote for the Asbury Park Press, which is the daily paper at the Jersey Shore, which is where I spent my summers growing up. So I like lived in my family's beach house and worked and, pretended to be an adult. But it was like a joke and a half. It was
Transition.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after a few years of, I graduated into the Great Recession. So journalism was tough, and especially like community newspaper journalism was a bloodbath. So we had furloughs and layoffs like every quarter. And finally I was like, I need to be able to work and live for the rest of my life. So found a master's degree program in Boston that I was really interested in. I wanted to get to Boston anyway. Mm-hmm. I was always interested in Boston or DC. I never had the North Jersey bug of like, I've got to live in the city. Like that was never it for me. And I found a master's degree at Emerson College, integrated marketing communication. And before I started grad school, I was like, oh, I just need a part-time job in Boston. And my now husband, then boyfriend, was like, well, why don't you give tours at Sam Adams? Because we had been on one. And I was like, I don't like public speaking. What are you talking about? Like, I always loved beer. Like, that was always like a huge interest of mine. But I applied, I got it. And then I kind of got that bug, which was like, oh my God, I can work in beer. Like, these are jobs that people have. Like, I thought I would like get my master's and work for a nonprofit or like a university. And then that was kind of it. So I worked full-time in marketing at the Boston Beer Company on the Sam Adams brand for a long time. And
doing what, like essentially journalism for them? Like
no,
writing
like
press releases?
No, never that. So I was hired as like a promotion specialist, which was I feel like they didn't really have titles that really like analog to anything else.
Yeah.
So I like help make Sam Adams campaigns. So when you're at the store and you see like displays and like case easels and pennant strings and like dealer loaders and the thing that goes around the bottom of the case stack whose name is escaping me right now, which I'm sure I thought a lot about. But yeah, so I worked on Sam Adams campaigns, which was super cool.
Yeah.
For, God, like 5-ish years. Then there was a role created kind of for me at the Boston Brewery to do marketing for the tour center and tap room. And I did that for a little bit, but it just kind of, I don't know, I feel like we both kind of met the end of the road with it. I think they needed somebody who was younger and like better at Instagram and wanted to work parties and hang out every night and weekend. And I was like, I'm too old for this.
Yeah, I was not doing this.
Yeah. So took a summer, like tried to figure out what I wanted to do. I always missed writing. And I was like kind of always sad that I thought that I would never do it again. But then my job at BrewBound was posted. Well, what became my job at BrewBound was posted late August, because I think I left Boston Beer like mid-June and was just kind of like out of my mind for a while because I was really nervous about what was going to happen. And this job opened and I was like, I don't think I could apply for that. I haven't been a writer in forever. Like, what do I do? What do I do? And then finally I was like, fuck it. Okay, I'm sorry, I can curse.
Yes.
Just like, fuck it. I'm going to apply. And I did. And like 20 minutes after submitting my application, the CEO calls me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And was like, well, like, listen, here's what's happening. We're getting a lot of like people who work in beer marketing but don't understand journalism and have no journalism experience applying. And then we're getting a lot of like sports reporters who are like, I love beer, but they don't understand like the 3-tier system, what it means to work in a regulated industry. And that's not really right either. And I was like, my friend, you were waiting for me. Like, I am your unicorn.
Yeah.
And then it all worked out.
And you just got right into writing articles. What were your first couple articles like?
That's a great question. So
I mean, you had contacts at Boston Beer, but I imagine a lot of journalism was like who you know and where do you have stories from.
Yeah. Well, so understandably, the team at BrewBound was like, can you really do this? And I was like, I know I can do this. Like, I don't know how else to tell you, but I know I can. So they well, why don't we do a trial week? And I didn't have anything else to going on. So I was like, sure. Like, and they paid me, but I came in every day. And this was September of 2019. And the biggest story that week happened to be that Texas was about to allow breweries to sell beer to go. So I like wrote a really thorough, like well-sourced, well-reported story about it and what the impact was going to be. And was like, oh my God, this is like riding a bike. Because I never felt like a marketer. Like I always felt like I slightly didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I probably shouldn't say this publicly in case I ever need to go back to that field. But it felt really good to get back at the keyboard, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I wrote that story. Early stories in the beginning. Great question. I remember like during my interview, my editor and boss and friend, Justin Kendall, who I'm sure if you hear our podcast, you hear Justin. In my interview with him that day, I'm sure you guys will remember this, Night Shift had just announced they were going to open a brewery in Philly.
Yeah, a massive one.
Yeah. So he, like, just as like an exercise was like, well, what questions would you ask them? And I like rattled off a bunch. And you say, I hadn't even thought about half of those things. So that is kind of like what like the news story that I think of when I think of my beginning time. Obviously, he wrote that story. What happened? My first week of work, he flew out to GABF. I was secretly hoping they were going to like be like, okay, pack your bag and go. But that didn't happen. But while he was gone, there was a Constellation earnings call. And that was when they announced that they were going to be making Corona hard seltzer because it was a big question back then. Like, what will they do? How will they get into the hard seltzer space?
Yeah.
So there was that.
And then immediately after, you had coronavirus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what
was that like for journalism? Because everything was changing.
super stressful.
Well, because I mean, imagine there was a lot to write about because everything was changing.
Yeah.
But was everyone just freaking out and there was like layoffs everywhere?
So yes, there was a lot of that. Everybody was freaking out. Were you guys in the industry at the time?
Yeah.
Okay. So it was nuts. And it was state laws were changing by the minute.
Yeah.
Or I guess not laws, but like regulations and guidelines for how many people you could have. And eventually went into like, can you have a mask? Can you not? All of that stuff. But in the very early days, breweries were pretty quick to pivot to curbside, which I think was really good for a lot of them.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were doing layoffs and we were just trying to keep track of all of it. And we still have a free newswire. So you can submit your press releases to BrewBound.com and we post them for free. There's also like a paid premium version. But back then it was like super like manual. Like we were just doing it ourselves, like copy pasting these press releases. And we were just trying to get everybody's news up. Because it was people went on saying, oh, we're going to be doing curbside delivery. Oh, there's a GoFundMe for our staff. And it was like, or like, oh, we're turning our old beer into hand sanitizer. So we were just trying to get everybody's news up as much as
I forgot
possible.
about the hand sanitizer. It was like the world's worst hand sanitizer.
Terrible. So much of that hand sanitizer to me smelled like really bad tequila.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah. It takes just dry out your hands like crazy.
But like, I just remember like, because we were working from home, which I wasn't doing before COVID, and there was no way to stop working, you know, because you could be working. Like I remember sitting at my laptop until like 7 p.m., 8 p.m. And this sounds, in retrospect, it sounds bad now, but like I would force myself to have a drink at 5 or 6 or whatever. Because it was like, if I have this drink, I will stop working because I should not be drinking and write it.
Yeah.
But you know, without like a commute home, it's hard to shut off.
Just separate that.
Yeah. I've gotten out of that habit, but it was helpful then.
So we're in a much different situation now with beer because during COVID, everybody was drinking like fish. And I guess you've kind of seen the full arc of like people going crazy. And then now your stories on BrewBound are like, well, for the last couple of years, it was like things were closing. And now it seems like everyone's buying each other, merging. And there's a lot of like kind of coming up, maybe the back end. I don't know. We'll see. But it's like kind of a much different.
Yeah, you're definitely right.
Now.
There's a few different like veins of trends happening within craft. I think the closings that you were seeing were driven by like most breweries have a 10-year commercial lease.
Yeah.
So what we were really just kind of got through this wave of was all those breweries that popped up in the boom times got to the end of the lease and were like, we can't go on, or the rent was raised too high for them. So I think those will start to peter out.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. It's like everybody's tag teaming because it makes sense. Like you've got to, if you can figure out ways to cut costs, share services, do whatever you can, make sure you're filling up trucks and not sending out like half empty trucks. Like I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's like in a matter of 3 years, there was the advent of RTDs. There was weed legalized. There was gambling legalized and online dating, kind of like all these things together. But now, like I said, like people are buying, there's larger brands buying other brands, which we weren't seeing a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Nobody was buying brands.
Yeah. And nobody's really buying. What's happening right now is people aren't buying facilities, they're buying the brands.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like look at Stone and Sapporo and Firestone Walker. Like that deal does not include their massive Escondido brewery, which I think was partially what was attractive to Sapporo to Stone in the first place was bi-coastal production. But I think Sapporo's realized we don't need both of these. We'll consolidate in Richmond. And Firestone doesn't need the capacity in San Diego because they've got it all on their own.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of that. Like the 21st Amendment. And
I was going to say, I did not see that happening at all. Like 21st Amendment is like a classic American craft brewery. And I didn't think Evil Genius had that far to reach, but like I lived 2 blocks from the brewery. So I just assumed it was like kind of the local brewery. But that's kind of crazy that they bought that, I guess just the brand. So the amount of buying the brewery.
It's like, I don't know, it's like a mouse trying to eat an elephant or something. But like we've talked about before we started recording, I'm spending part of the summer at the Jersey Shore where my family's from. And Sunday, we were walking home from the beach past my buddy Greg on the front steps of his house. And he was drinking like the watermelon beer. Oh my God, why is it Sam escaping?
Oh, yeah.
Come hell or high water.
21st Amendment.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, when'd you buy that? He was like, oh, just now. And I was like, interesting. I said, did you notice it was gone from the market? And he was like, what?
Yeah.
And I said, he said, this is one of my favorite beers. So yeah, well, they closed and now they're back. And on Friday, I'd just written the story about their offer in compromise with the TTB, which to be clear is nothing to do with Evil Genius. But
Yeah, that happened like years ago, didn't it?
it was like over the course of January 2018 to end of October 2025. I think, I have no idea. But what I would hazard a guess is that there was probably a mix up with who pays excise taxes for their contract production partners.
Got it.
But could be it. But I mean, to owe the government $1.2 million and be able to just pay them $423,000. Like, can I make a deal like that on my school loans? Like, well, like clearly you don't need the money.
Yeah. But I guess maybe that was part of the deal with like, you know, if they got bought, there was going to be like some sort of concession. You know, either it doesn't get paid at all or they get all the money out of the deal.
I have no idea. Everybody that I reached out to was like, I don't know anything about it. So
Yeah. But a lot of what you are covering now is not just beer news. There's also NA beer, which is beer but not beer. You guys are covering a lot of like the cannabis drinks now. So it's not even just beer news that you guys are doing.
Like the best way that I can think of to explain what I do to people who don't know is we will cover anything with an ABV that is not wine. And maybe we'll get to wine one day. I don't know. But yeah, like we do a lot of coverage of NA beer. Last week on our podcast, we had the CEO of Best Day, which is an NA brand. Yep. I forced myself to learn about THC drinks because, to be perfectly honest with you guys, I didn't get it and I didn't really care. Because I live in Massachusetts, which is like a legal weed state through dispensaries. And that is where, like, we can't have THC drinks in liquor stores. Everything's got to go through the dispensary. So I wasn't seeing it.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the weed industry is a very long way away from being regulated correctly. Because even in Jersey, when you go over there, there is no, it's the Wild West. There's no rules at all. Even when you walk into the legal distillery or the dispensaries there, nobody has any idea what's happening. Everything is run differently. There's no regulation. Everyone is so high that's working there that it's like you're talking to them, like asking them questions. They don't know what's going on. It's just terribly run businesses that are making so much money.
Yeah, and they're not really anymore. It really kind of seems like legal weed, at least in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Seems like it's kind of bottoming out a little bit because like the black market never really went away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's tough. Like it's hard to compete with that.
When you're standing up, like you see these new beverages coming out, how is it like trying to find that new audience for stories or stuff like that?
Yeah,
is that
your audience reading it or?
who's like?
That's a great question. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
So we have two different versions of our newsletter, paid and free.
Yeah.
And the free version gets like little blurbies for stories. But one day a week, we do one free gift link. And I've noticed like the things that have done the best lately click-wise on those free links are data stories about RTDs.
Interesting.
Right? Like we've put like feature stories about craft brewers up for free. Nobody reads those. Stuff about what the Brewers Association has going on. Nobody reads those. But like a couple weeks ago, we had something about how like the ascendant RTD brands were Surfside and Cutwater, and it went like bonkers. So,
interesting. I wonder, I would imagine it's got to be like the craft beverage people, most of the brewers, and just kind of trying to understand what is happening rather than like.
Because that's also, for our listeners that don't know, BrewBound is definitely more of like a people that are in the industry are listening to it.
Yeah, we're a trade publication, so it is business news. We used to not have a paywall, and I didn't realize how many like regular beer drinkers were reading it. And then when the paywall went up, they got very mad. But it is like business news. Like my friends would be like, "Should I listen to your podcast?" And I'm like, "No, like you would be bored." My mom doesn't even listen to our podcast.
But people that are in the industry should listen to your podcast because you guys are.
Thank you.
You guys are talking about news, and like we were talking about like, kind of the local Philly news, but what you guys talk about is like these larger brand, like the consolidation of the distributors, like all these things that are affecting like the national beer news.
Yeah, people always love to ask me like, "Oh, I bet you get to review a lot of beer." And it's like, I don't review any beer. Some people will send me beer, which is nice of them, and I always say like, just so you know, you're sending my husband beer. Like I'm not going to write about it. If I think to do it, I'll post it on Instagram. But yeah, it's the business news. It's legal stuff. It's distribution. It's contracts, M&A, all sorts of that stuff. So
Yeah. Do you have a lane as far as like what you're writing about mostly?
No, not really. I feel like there's 3 of us on our team, Justin, who we've talked about, and then my coworker, Zoe Licata. Zoe is really interested in cider, and she's really done a really great job carving out that beat for herself.
How is the cider industry doing?
Great, for the most part. I think regional and local ciders really took off in the past couple of years, and cider's been like the lone bright spot in a lot of data reports that we get.
Why is that? You think because the gluten angle, or you think it's just the new craft where the local wineries, at least in Philly, are popping up and getting really popular?
Interesting.
And I don't know if cider is just like a different angle at craft beer.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit part of it. I think the gluten thing was why Angry Orchard took off back in like 2013, 2012 days.
Yeah.
I think then that calmed down. The thing with cider is that when you look at the category from above, it was so steered by Angry Orchard. It was, like a majority of dollar sales, and you couldn't really quite see the local stories. And as Angry Orchard receded a little bit, you started to see these regional brands really start to dominate, especially out of the Pac Northwest. Cider is mostly a West Coast story.
Yeah. Well, even as the apples, all right.
Yeah, like with like Two Towns and Schilling, Blake's Beverage a little bit too, but those guys are really starting to pop in like national scan data. But the Northeast is funny because our market is different. Like you guys can buy beer in grocery stores now, right? But
it's very recent.
Yeah. So in Mass you can, Jersey you can't. New York you can. It's different, but the way the data gets reported, it doesn't really tell the full story, particularly about the part of the country that we live in. So when you do see national reporting, you just kind of got to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt and know that it's actually like from a much wider swath of territory.
Yeah, that's crazy. Angry Orchard just ran cider, and then for many years, Twisted Tea was the only tea brand.
Yeah.
And now teas are blowing up. Now Gatorade is.
Yeah,
right now, Gatorade is taking the world by storm.
I kind of love hard Gatorades.
Really?
Yeah, like
I'm not a fan. I think the
like
teas
it.
are great.
I like it.
I think that I like the idea of it. I think the stuff that's on the market right now needs to get tweaked a little bit.
Yeah. So what's interesting, I don't know, man, to talk about Angry Orchard and Twisted Tea is so funny because they're both so sweet, right?
Yeah.
I think flavor palettes, like people's palates changed and moved on. And I think Jim Cook has said this on earnings call, some of what has gone wrong for Twisted Tea because their sales are down in a pretty painful way.
Yeah.
Because of how big a chunk of Boston beer sales Twisted Tea is.
Yeah.
Jim has said they priced it a little too high because they were trying to treat it like a premium product. It used to be, when I was there, like the thinking was that the Twisted Tea drinker were mostly like blue collar middle-aged men. And that was totally true. But then they started to pivot and try to attract younger drinkers, like the 21 to 28-year-old demo.
Yep.
And they did that through a lot of like country music sponsorships and stuff like that, instead of just being like NASCAR and the Camel Pack and all of that. And they did a good job with it. But then Surfside happened. And I think when those drinkers were able to see, oh, this has less sugar, this is less sweet, and this is real vodka, what is in that other thing?
Yeah.
There was a lot of like hand wringing for years where people in the industry were saying, oh, nobody really cares what the alcohol base is. But it turns out they do.
Yeah, I think Twisted Tea Light is a much better beverage than Twisted Tea. I think it's just less sweet.
Funny.
And I think it's way more drinkable.
So Tea Light, like Philly is such a huge market that they tried to reformulate forever, and the Philly like distributors would riot because they're like, you can't change it.
Northeast
People
Philly
like it.
and Delco just live off Twisted Tea.
It is absolutely amazing.
The Northeast is just Twisted Tea and Miller Lite, and Delco's Twisted Tea and Bud Light.
Just, what do you think the Miller Bud thing is?
Wait, what?
Well, why is Miller Lite popular in one spot and Bud Light popular?
I don't know. I know Moeller. I think Moeller is the Newhouse, and they are in the Northeast. I don't know if they just had like really
Just like own the market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the rest of the industry, I mean, it's just Michelob now. I mean, I'm in beer stores multiple times a week doing beer tastings, and I'm seeing what people are buying. And in Philly, it's just 90% of people walking out the door are either Michelob, some sort of Surfside or Super Light, or Voodoo Ranger 19.2s.
Yeah. And that's
The Voodoo Ranger 19.2s are essentially kind of like the new 40s. Nobody gets 40s anymore.
Yeah.
Dave was on here talking about the 40,
Yep.
the 40s, and I think now that's turning into 19.2 cans of like the high octane flavored drinks.
Dude, I think you're really right about that.
They're
great.
everybody gets it, and they also even they get flavored twisted teas also, like the I don't know what the different flavors are.
It's like raspberry peach.
Yeah, but it's the big cans of twisted tea.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I mean, if you look at like what, I mean, I assume I'm like a good bit older than you guys, but like what were available in non-alc drinks when I was little, like Fruitopia and Snapple and all of that, like our palates were so attuned to that and like different flavors and sweetness and just like a big intensity that it's like, you can almost see it's like super cyclical. Like in the beginning of hard seltzer, it was really nuanced. You could barely taste any fruit.
Yeah.
And then it came back around the other way. And then everything kind of went crazy with like super intense, juicy, fruity flavors. And then it kind of went back the other way again. It's just like, it's just going to come in waves.
Yeah.
Are you seeing a lot of the accounts that I'm talking to, I'm trying to give them like hazy IPAs, and everyone's saying like, oh, West Coast IPAs are cool now. And is that an actual thing? Like, I don't know if like the craft beers, like now the general public is going towards sweeter things, and then the craft industry is just like the anti-establishment kind of. So like,
Possibly.
they don't like sweet things now.
I mean, like, I feel like a lot of what like the biggest news coming out of craft breweries, I find, has been lagers,
Yeah.
which is like stuff that like craft brewers were not interested in making at all years ago, but you can only drink so many.
That macros have like come storming back, and they have been making a huge effort to. I know you guys were doing a ton of reporting on the World Cup and how much beer they were selling, and trying to sell draft beer the last month and a half has been impossible.
Really?
Everybody is just loaded up. Everybody was like putting so much marketing and discounts on beer the last month. All the big brands were basically just like giving bars so much beer that I couldn't even sell beer to anybody.
That's crazy. What do you hear back of when you bring in a hazy? Like, no, we only want West Coast.
No, it's just people. I think hazy IPAs still drive the craft beer industry as far as like small craft goes. But there's one this is a West Coast that just came out this week, and there's some accounts that I have that are ordering like 3 times as much as they normally do because there's just less options for West Coast IPAs.
Yeah,
and they're saying that like the hardcore craft beer crowd is now getting back into West Coast IPAs.
I could see that. I mean, it's definitely happening on the West Coast. It'll take a while to get here.
Yeah, as everything does, like starts on the West Coast.
Exactly, but it will happen. I think.
Yeah.
Hey, brewery or small business owner. At the Beer Accountant, they understand the unique financial challenges of the craft brewing industry. Are you tired of navigating complex brewery accounting and taxes on your own? Staying up late working on financials and getting your finances in order after a whole workday? They're a CPA dedicated to helping breweries like yours thrive, with services ranging from qualified bookkeeping, business tax prep, to strategic financial planning. Stop wasting time on spreadsheets and focus on what you do best, making great beer and running a small business. The Beer Accountant is led by Patrick McDonald, a CPA for 14 years. They are also the official CPA of the Brewers of PA, servicing over 50 breweries in 4 states. If you own a brewery or small business, stop overpaying for reactive support and start being proactive with the Beer Accountant. Don't brew that IPA without this CPA. Visit beeraccountant.com to learn how their specialized expertise can help your brewery grow, profit, and succeed. That's Beer Accountant at beeraccountant.com.
Can you kind of, I know you guys were doing a lot of reporting for the macro brands. Do you think that they underperformed, overperformed for the World Cup?
That's a good question. I mean, I think everybody performed as expected. Like Mick Ultra did crazy numbers, and that makes sense because they were the official beer tournament. AE spent a shit ton of money on that.
Yeah.
Modelo seems to be getting on like steadier ground again, which I think is probably a good sign for craft because it's kind of an indicator of a lot of different things. Not craft, I'm sorry. That's a good sign for beer.
Yeah.
And what else? Miller Lite, Coors Light didn't really do much.
What about, like, I know in this market, Surfside is obviously king.
Yeah.
But and the super lights are king. But I've heard elsewhere Spiked Aid is actually the king around the country. And the super lights kind of came in after the fact.
I could see that. So last summer, it was really, here it was Spiked Aid. And they were flying. So while I'm at the shore, I always like count like the banner planes.
You say here, like as in Jersey?
Yeah.
Okay.
So every summer, I always make a point to like count planes, and we talk about it on the podcast. And and it might be stupid, I don't know, but we do it. And Spiked Jade was advertising. And I want to say we also saw a plane for vodka. There was no Super Light. But we talked about it on our podcast. We were all the three of us were like, who's going to drink this? What is this for?
Yeah.
Maybe that was mostly me. But then our marketing department clipped it for Instagram and then fucking tagged them. So then we see the Spiked Jade guys at the National Beer Wholesalers Association conference in Vegas in the fall. And they're like, hey, we know you. And they sampled us. And I was like, oh shit, this is really good. And I'm sorry. But they specifically only launched New Jersey last year, concentrating on the shore.
Oh, interesting.
I guess it's known to be a really tough RTD market. So they figured if we can prove it here.
I actually just talked to a sales rep for the distributor because they were not selling in PA and they just started or are about to. And the sales rep basically said that they were not counting on stateside putting one out. And then they did, and it exploded, and now they're playing catch up to get back into the Philly market.
Yeah, I assume they'll have a tough road in Philly.
Yeah.
But they're expanding like pretty like fast and furious right now. I want to say they're in like
And who is that? Is that owned by AB or is it just an independent brand?
independent brand.
It's just so interesting. Every like the cycle of the drink that happens to just take off. No one would have thought like 2 years ago.
Right.
You're going. It's like Spike.
Yeah, we ask everybody, like, what do you think is happening? Yeah. Nobody said Gatorade.
No, never. I talked to the founder in Vegas at the MBWA, and he was like, well, I noticed my like 21-year-old daughter, she and her friends were spiking Gatorade. Like they were mixing vodka with Gatorade as their pregame because they thought it made them not feel so hungover. And then, because we've seen this, right? Like New Belgium made Light Strike.
Yeah, Light Strike in the Gatorade bottles.
Right. Which I thought they would change, but I guess they're sticking to it. I actually have not tried that. Some of these like things came out while I was pregnant, so I have kind of missed them.
Yeah.
So there's Light Strike. There's been a few other things like hard coconut water. Mm-hmm. Like all of that was, I think, just the steps that led up to this moment where we're just drinking hard sports drinks.
Yeah.
But I see a shit ton of Super Light at the shore. Last summer, it was a decent amount of Spiked Jade. And in like, I had, my brothers are younger than me, so I like talked to their friends, like, what are you drinking? And we had like a little Christmas gathering, and one of their friends was drinking Spiked Jade, and say, I think this is going to be the new Surfside.
That's crazy.
But then Surfside made their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I had never even heard about it till Super Light came on, and now apparently it's everywhere. What is the NBWA?
The National Beer Wholesalers Association.
How is that comparatively to the CBC?
That's a great question. Super different.
Okay.
So the National Beer Wholesalers Association, so the Brewers Association puts on CBC, right?
Yeah.
They're the trade group that represents craft brewers in Washington. Does a lot of things, but primarily they exist to elevate the voices of craft brewers to lawmakers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the NBWA is the same thing, but for wholesalers. Mm-hmm. And we go every year. It's a big event for us, a lot of work. The audience is, well, I'm going to put this politely. When I started in beer at the Boston Beer Company, it was very 50-50 men, women, right? And I just thought, oh, yes, this must be normal now because we are in the 21st century. MBWA is a whole bunch of men. And they're at...
Why is that? I mean, I think, so my wholesaler is Penn. Penn has a ton of female employees.
Yeah, so who goes to the
that.
conference is owners,
Oh,
presidents, GMs.
Okay.
And these are like generationally wealthy family businesses.
Yeah.
So it's very much like, if I didn't have a husband, perhaps I'd be searching for one. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it moves every other year is in Vegas.
So the CBC is like all levels of production members go there and just get wasted for 3 days, whether you're doing productive things or not. And this is not like that. It's mostly just people doing productive things for 3 days.
No. There's a shit ton of
Right.
parties. Yeah. So MBWA basically, like all of the brewers and, suppliers will throw big parties and host their wholesalers. And it's a way to make sure they get to try your product and make sure you stay top of mind with them.
Yeah.
It's a good time to release a new product for sampling.
Yeah.
There are some seminars in the morning, like CBC style. But did you guys go to CBC stuff?
We were doing interviews during the day.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Or we did all the CBC events after.
Okay, cool.
So we did a lot of events, but then we did interviews.
So there's a lot of that, but with extremely large budgets.
Okay. Yeah.
So the past appetizers are pretty good.
Got it.
And during the day, like there are a couple seminars in the morning, but mostly it's everybody in a big ballroom with like high level production stage content. Like Troy Aikman has spoken at it.
Wow.
Who else do they get to speak? I have seen like Kellyanne Conway speak at their legislative conference, which is different from their regular conference. But it's like the meeting of the wholesalers, and it's like their pep rally. And it's good for us to attend because when you know what they're thinking about, it's very helpful.
You get to kind of see in the future.
Yeah. So there's always kind of a boogeyman because you got to have a common enemy to rally around. A few years ago, it was Blue Cloud Distribution, which was that distributor that Pepsi tried to set up.
Blue Cloud Distribution, what's that? Is that like independent?
Yeah. So
third party?
Pepsi, Pepsi, tried to set up a network of beer distributors. And the lead product they were going with was Hard Mountain Dew. And the wholesaler community like rioted. Like everybody was incensed. And anybody who carried Boston beer but was told you're not getting Hard Mountain Dew just got like really pissed. Because that's usually what happens. Like if you have a standing relationship with a brewery, you can expect that any of their new products will come to you. But to be told, hey, you're not getting Hard Mountain Dew, it was a mess. Like, so that was one thing.
That has to be one of the strongest trade groups because everyone talks about how like fortified that the middle segment is, and you know they're not giving up what they have.
They are one of the most powerful lobbies in the country, not just in beer.
Yeah,
And it's interesting because sometimes it can feel like they are very almost aggrieved. Like they get really, one of their huge sticking points is they will never want to allow the U.S. Postal Service to carry alcoholic beverages. And when you hear it, you're like, well, like that's silly because there's a lot of like craft brewers in rural areas that aren't serviced by UPS and DHL and FedEx. Like they want to be able to ship direct to consumers. And it's usually like 750 milliliter bottles that wholesalers don't want.
Yeah.
And so why don't you guys just give them this one thing? And I asked that in a media session once at this conference. And they were like, well, like, Jess, if we did that, that would like kind of chip at like the whole legality of the 3-tier system. And I was like, I guess, but they are super powerful. And if they don't like
Not
something,
1 inch.
generally, not 1 inch, exactly. But I like going to that conference.
It's good to see.
Well, who's the boogeyman this year?
That's a great question. I'm not really sure.
Because I imagine they're always fighting self-distribution. Is that just not even in their radar because it's so small?
No.
Like there's brands like Surfside that are doing it PA, but
Are they self-distributing here?
pretty sure.
Oh my God, that's a lot because they're just moving so much volume. That's the
They're
thing.
a
When
machine.
you're not moving that much volume, like self-distro can be really good. It's a good way for you to learn the market. It's a good way for you to learn a lot of stuff. Like when you're new and you can in your state, that's great. Like I don't really know that they come out against self-distro because I know that they don't really have a leg to stand on sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially like Vermont finally made self-distro a little bit easier a couple months ago because Vermont was just down to 2, like 1 Bud House, 1 Molson Coors House.
Wow.
So they don't really say much about that. There's been a lot of the THC thing has been interesting because the distributors want it. And they say, like, if anyone's going to be allowed to distribute this, it should be us.
And the brewers are, at least the brewers of Pennsylvania are like, we don't have a comment because when there is a decision made, we will fight like hell to get it. But we don't want to then promote this
Right.
in the meantime.
Right. Like the BA has been like very carefully threading that needle because they have to know that a lot of their members are making these drinks. And like that's what's keeping the lights on for a lot of them.
Yeah.
But Bart will always say like they just want like THC drinks to be regulated the same way as alcohol, to have a fair playing field, and that I get.
Yeah.
A big issue of the past couple of years has been tax equivalents for RTDs. So in like Pennsylvania recently allowed spirits-based RTDs to be able to be sold in grocery stores. And that, it's funny, like that kind of makes like, kind of splits along like the lines of the major beer trade groups. So there's the BA, the MBWA, who we've talked about, and then the Beer Institute, which is like the trade group for larger brewers. And they generally like act at the behest of their members, and their members are, you can imagine who they are.
Yeah.
So these guys, like, I don't really know how much they care about spirits-based RTDs getting tax equivalents and equal market access because they all make them.
Mm-hmm.
So once, if a state opens up that previously had blocked out those drinks, like AB can easily be like, okay, great, here you can carry Cutwater. Here's Beatbox, like here's Neutral. I know Boston Beer, Jim Cook was making a lot of noise about this a few years ago and was saying we really shouldn't let this happen.
What is, I don't know what the tax is for.
So federal excise taxes are much higher for anything with a liquor base, anything that's a distilled spirit. So
they're fighting to lower that so they can make more money.
Yeah, because you could see the argument being like, well, this High Noon is 4.5% ABV, just like a beer. Why are we paying a higher tax?
Yeah.
So there's that argument. It's really nuanced and really complicated, and there's a lot of layers to it. But you got to figure out who wants what and who gets what, because craft brewers are making all of this. So if you make it easier for them to like lose less money on stuff, like they'll be happy. But also, if you open the door for all of these drinks,
it's so complicated. Like they're making a little bit of money, but then if you block it, they might be helped. They might lose that revenue, but then they would have like a larger market that they're selling to.
Like think about a bodega that can only sell beer and wine.
Yeah.
What happens when spirits can come in? Like what gets shut out?
Craft beer goes right in the back.
Yeah, exactly. So it's tough. You know? Like it might feel good on your balance sheet this year, but next year you could be like, holy fuck, what happened?
Yeah. I think that's what happened with sports gambling. Sports gambling definitely helped drinking in the beginning, because people are way more involved in sports. They're going to sports bars more to gamble on sports. And now I think it's just sucking so much disposable income out of the people that are spending money on alcohol.
Yep.
That now it's really starting to affect everybody.
And a few years ago, analysts were saying that it was not, like this is not taking dollar share away from alcohol. I don't see how it can't.
Yeah. Literally the only thing it does is take money away.
Right.
It's just going to stay inside, really. Like,
yeah.
I'm super curious. Like, where do you pull, like, maybe this is information that we don't know, but like, where do you get your data, and like, how do you kind of like come to your decisions, whether what to report on, or just like, is it earnings calls? Is it stuff like that? Just really just
great questions. Yeah, all of that. So there's two major data providers that cover alcohol. There's Circana and there's NIQ. And they have different data sets. Like NIQ includes a lot more independent liquor stores. They have Whole Foods. I think they have Costco.
And how are they getting those, like UPC scans or?
Yeah. Yeah. So scan data from everywhere. Mm-hmm. So they both send out reports weekly, monthly basis. They both have like experts that we are in like pretty much constant communication with.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we get what's going on. They send us spreadsheets. NIQ won't let us print whole dollar amounts. We can just say, oh, up this percent, down that percent. Circana doesn't really care. They just kind of send the whole sheet out, which I find like a lot easier to work with. But you have to like know that Circana doesn't include quite as many retailers as NIQ. And
as a retailer, do you have to decide who you sell your data to, or like why are they?
That's like maybe.
Why do they not have both have?
That's a great question. I have no idea. I probably should. So yeah, we get a lot of information that way.
Yeah.
And then we do cover earnings calls. Earnings calls they're funny because like they don't always say a whole lot, but sometimes they will. If an analyst asks a great question, like you can hear CEOs get tripped up. But like really like where you find like the juiciest stuff will be in like the filings that they make to the SEC. That's where you can see how much Constellation sold Ballast Point for. Like that's where all that stuff gets hidden because they don't break it all out.
What's going on with Ballast Point?
Oh my God, what a fucking shit show. So, did you read the story today?
I saw that they're like shuttering tap rooms and they are getting sued for fraud or something.
Oh my God.
So, Justin wrote it. I didn't write it. I'm going to do it as high level as possible so I don't say anything wrong. But basically, so Ballast Point, how should we get in the time machine?
Sure, sure.
So Ballast Point, super popular craft brand out of San Diego, like near cult status, sold to Constellation Brands, which is a wine and spirits company that became an importer of Mexican beer. Constellation bought them for $1 billion in 2015. In 2019, they sold them for, I want to say somewhere in the neighborhood of 42 million. It's 42 or 64. It's one of those numbers. It is way less than $1 billion. Constellation realized they just couldn't really do it. And they sold Ballast Point off to this tiny brewery out of Chicago called Kings and Convicts. And then last summer, Kings and Convicts is kind of phased out. I think the Kings and Convicts owners holding company holds 10% now of Ballast Point. They brought on a San Diego-based hospitality group almost a year ago. I wrote that story, and it really looked like what they were trying to do was basically like add like Ballast Point tap rooms to their roster of places to host weddings, which was like, God, what a...
That sounds like a terrible idea,
right?
The bottom of the barrel.
Right? The photos look beautiful. And would I get married at a brewery? No. But some people might. And a lot of people do. I just don't want to get married at work. Yeah. So a guy who also came in with this change of ownership has allegedly, basically, been treating Ballast Point like I can't even say a piggy bank. He's like using the company as collateral to get loans. And he's gotten millions of dollars in loans using the company and maybe has made documents seem as though he like was the sole decision maker. So banks weren't questioning it when he's not. So Ballast Point is suing
Personal loans or loans for
Like-
Ballast Point?
I think loans for Ballast Point that they allege he's using for personal purposes. So like you can't do that.
No.
Like, oh my God.
It's frowned upon.
Highly found. When you like, I have no appetite to get into business myself.
Yeah.
I would never, but when I see what some people do, I'm like, holy shit, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, ugh, how are you not stressed?
Do you have an update on what's happening with Uncle Nearest?
I don't.
Okay.
I think the latest news is that Fawn is out,
Yeah.
right? Dave does a great job covering that, but so does my teammate Farron Saltmaker.
Yeah.
She covers spirits for our company, so
Okay.
she's kind of got the handle on that.
What about BrewDog?
Oh, this I can definitely talk about.
This is
So,
a crazy story.
where do you want to start?
Well, we can start like BrewDog. If they were the largest craft brewery out of the UK. They kind of like created the craft industry there.
Yeah.
Moved over to the US.
Yep.
Opened up a ton of tap rooms. We're selling a ton of beer.
Yep.
And then got canceled and we're going out of business kind of at the same time.
A little bit. Well, it's like a year or two in between those two things. But
Yeah.
yeah. So BrewDog, founded in Scotland in 2007, I want to say, by James Watt and Martin Dickey.
Had a cool TV show.
They did have a TV show. So they filmed an episode of their TV show at Sam Adams while I was working there. And a few of us got told, hey, like come down and be in the background so that, because I think we did it like late at night.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not going to be open, but we need people here. And they ended up doing like a wort hot tub with Jim. And I'm like, I don't want to be here for this. This is like deeply uncomfortable. Like, so it was.
Jim likes jumping in beer.
Yeah, well, but they had previously said a bunch of horrible stuff about Jim, so the whole thing was just kind of awkward. But they seemed to have a good time.
And the one guy, the bald guy, I don't know if they're both bald.
James.
James, he's like the main owner, right?
Yeah, so I think the two of them probably had equal ownership, but they brought on a lot of private equity money,
Yeah.
and they were able to cash out.
Well, private money and also private money from individual investors, right?
Yeah, so they had an like an institutional investor. I want to say it's TSG Partners. I don't want to be wrong about that. So if I am wrong, I'm very sorry. But they brought on a private equity firm, and usually when that happens, a timer starts, and you've got usually 5 years to get them their money made back. But they also they did it like a huge crowd raise. They raised close to I think over $100 million over
punks.
Oh yeah, from the equity punks for like 11, 12 years. It went on for a long time. Then shit kind of hit the fan. A lot of unsavory things were said about James. The BBC did a massive like expose on them that
Of all the crazy stuff that happened after the kind of fallout from the Me Too and Rat Magnet in craft beer, everything that was said about BrewDog was the craziest stuff. Accusations that I'd heard.
Really?
I think so.
Yeah.
All this stuff about the owner was like insane. Like I did not see that coming at all. That was
There's a lot in there.
Yeah.
Like supposedly he was bringing, like he would just always make like, allegedly he had made several like women on staff feel very uncomfortable to the point where male managers would say to them, I'm not scheduling you tonight because he's going to be here. Like that came up a lot.
Yeah.
And this was after they had come over here and they set up a brewery in Columbus. Yeah. Canal, Winchester, Ohio. And they opened a bunch of tap rooms. They pulled back on a lot of tap rooms. And then in March, it was widely reported that they were up for sale. James, who has now since been ousted, tried to make an offer to come back to buy the brewery back when it became up for sale. And
That
then
was like last month or something, or months ago?
last week and also a couple months ago. He's done it twice now. But in March, there was reporting coming out of London that Tilray Brands was about to buy them. It was something that because they're so far ahead of us, it was something like I noticed on my phone in like the Dunkin' drive-through line after I like brought my daughter to daycare, and I was like, oh shit, this is gonna derail my whole day. And it did. So that day, it was like 3 Mondays in March, Tilray announced that they were buying a different part of BrewDot's business. First, it was the UK. They bought like the main production brewery in Scotland and like 11 pubs, plus all the global rights, all the IP, all the brand rights. Next week, they announced they were buying a brewery in Australia and like 5 pubs. And then the next week, they announced they were buying all the US operations. And they're fucking psyched about it. Like they ended up paying $54.5 million for all of that. BrewDog at one point was valued at, and I know this is never precise.
Yeah.
They were valued at like close to £2 billion or dollars.
Yeah, I think James walked away with like $100 million. He had some ungodly amount of money.
Yeah.
And that's why he was able to like kind of walk away and then buy it back.
Right.
Or
But this is
try
why-
to, but
If I ever came into that much money, he would never hear from me again. Like I would be gone. Like, buddy, give it up.
yeah.
So apparently his last offer the first time around was for 30 million pounds, which is less than what Tilray paid.
Yeah.
And he was willing to put up like 10 million of his own pounds. I'm not really sure what he offered last week. Tilray never even answered me.
And also, like, part of that was then he was like actually going to give ownership to the equity pumps.
Yes.
That was like these people like got screwed over. They swore him off, and then now he was like going to give them like, you know,
Yeah, he says they're all getting their equivalent shares back. Like, okay, guys, like if you believe this, like I got several bridges for you. Like, so we'll see. But yeah, that's been a wild one. And Tilray is psyched about having BrewDog. So good luck to
Very
them.
interesting,
I
yeah.
suppose. Yeah. I talked to their CEO right after it happened. And he told me they were really going to focus on like 4 Midwest states. But now they've been doing all sorts of wild stuff about it, like a residency in the Hamptons. And like they're bringing some of Tilray's brands over to the UK. And I don't know. Tilray's been an interesting one.
it's crazy when these bigger companies have so much money, they're willing to spend like millions of dollars just because, you know, as much as they got dragged through the mud, a lot of even our listeners were unaware of what was happening with BrewDog. And but they know what BrewDog is. So as long as you get that IP,
Right.
you're able to squeeze some sort of money off of it, spin it away, and then
Yeah. I would love to know what people who live in the Midwest think of BrewDog. Like, do you think this is a local brand to you, or do you think it's Scottish? Like,
yeah.
because, I mean, what really is a local brand?
I actually have a lot of friends that worked for their production site in Ohio.
Yeah.
I think most of them have moved on since then, but
Because
Yeah.
Tilray wants to keep that going.
oh really?
Yeah. So they've got a deal to brew Carlsberg in the U.S. starting in January. So they see that as being a good production hub for that. Makes sense.
Are you seeing more imports coming over in the U.S.?
We've seen a lot of breweries or a lot of brands that were imported get made here. So Peroni is made here now. Stella Artois is made here.
Is Stella Artois the number 2 beer in the U.S. right now?
No.
No?
No. If you go by dollars,
Because
it's,
they were doing a huge World Cup push, right?
yeah. But no, it's like Modelo, Michelob. Michelob will say they're number 1 by volume, but volume and dollars are different.
Yeah.
So Modelo is number 1 in dollars. The top 3 in Circana every week are Modelo, the Bud family. I don't know if Circana includes like Budweiser, Bud Light, like all of everything that starts with a Bud. Maybe they do, and that's why it's so big.
Yeah.
And the Michelob.
Got it.
Yeah.
You were saying earlier that some new Gen Z data came out as well, and I'm super curious to like pick your brain on that because I've been hearing it at least locally from a few brewers that they've seen Gen Z at least show up in the tap room right now.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah. So IWSR, which is another big like data reporting firm, they don't really do sales data, but they do a lot of like consumer research. They said that it's not Gen Z not drinking. It's mostly boomers who are drinking less. I think what happened with
amazing.
my hunch on Gen Z is that the kids who were in college during like the peak COVID times just didn't really learn how to socialize. And
That was me.
yeah, yeah, I can't imagine what that was like. When did you graduate?
2020.
Oh my God. So you probably turned 21 like in quarantine and like you just didn't know what to do. So yeah, as they get older and they get a little bit more established and they have more money, like now they're starting to, their behavior is more similar to prior generations. Because the other thing that's at play here that is actually a really good thing is that underage drinking fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing you guys had to, when I was learning how to do this, I won't tell you how old I was when I had my first drink because I don't want my mom to be ashamed. But like we kind of just had whatever we could get. And that was usually going to be really shitty beer. So when
Also, weed is so much cheaper, and they have the e-weed pens now. It's like it's basically impossible to get caught smoking weed as a teenager now.
Oh, yeah.
unless you get a drug test.
right? So yeah, like when you start out with like the wide like panoply of hard seltzers and RTDs, like of course you're not going to be like, oh, I would like your finest like sub-premium domestic lager. Like that's just not going to happen. So, and I think Gen Z's palates will come around to beer. I think we're starting to see that because it's like we said before, everything is cyclical. Like you got into hard seltzers because they were 100 calories and 5% alcohol and they were a little bit lighter. And then you're like, okay, well, wait, but I actually like the taste of beer. And that's where you find lighter beers.
So I'm a little bit older than Evan. I'm interested if you had the same experience. After college, I was in fraternity in college. Just a lot of my friends are sober now. It's like we were drinking too much in college.
Yeah.
But then a lot of my friends, the couple years after college, they were still drinking very heavily. And then my friends have started to slow down a lot. A lot of my friends that are still going out and partying all the time are doctors and people that played sports in college. Like they were not drinking in college. So maybe Gen Z was not drinking in college and they just still have this like prime drinking age after college that they can still,
I think that's a great theory.
they're like, their liver can still handle it.
Right. Like, yeah. Like they're not over it.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe they never like got a taste of it.
Yeah, like the kids I know that still party now that are my age, or they played sports in college, or they were like on some advanced program. Now they have money to keep drinking like that. But
Yeah, like I mean, I drink so much less now, but a lot of that is I have a 3-year-old, and like she doesn't care at 5:30 in the morning what I did last night.
yeah,
So it's tough. Like that's like I know that's like a driving like a reason to believe for a lot of NA brewers is like this is for parents. I don't that doesn't really make having a small person doesn't make me want to drink an NA beer, but like I get it.
Are you seeing the NA beers still continue to climb, or
Yeah,
they
but
plateaued? Okay.
They've not plateaued. Their growth rates are usually like between 15 and 20% lately. It used to be
Are they
much higher.
consolidating into specific brands, or is it still like because I've seen less of every small craft brewery is now putting out NA beer.
Yeah.
That's a great question. So I think like the introduction of Mick Ultra Zero last year was like a seismic shift. Like that beer came out and it gained like a crazy amount of market share, like almost unseen. But you've got like the full force of Anheuser-Busch behind you. So I get that. The story is really athletic. Mick Ultra Zero and like Heineken 0.0 because that was kind of, I feel like that was like the thing that started this current era almost. Like it was just like O'Doul's and whatever. And then Heineken made a big push into their 0.0. And athletic is really like the biggest thing going. And I think it's going to be really hard for anyone to catch up, but
Are they still growing? Athletic?
they are still growing for sure. I think it's going to be hard for them to keep gaining share because they do have a few competitors behind them. But what I keep seeing in the data is that Athletic has been discounting. So like their volume and their dollars are a little out of whack because their volume will grow at a faster rate than their dollars. And then you look at the case price and it'll be like down 2% year over year. So I don't know how long you can keep that up. There are a few like craft brands that are, there's craft brewers that have started their own lines that have found some traction. Like Sierra Nevada's done a really nice job.
Yeah.
So has Deschutes.
Yeah.
Sam Adams launched one and those liquids were really good, but I'm not really sure what is up with them in the market.
Yeah.
And then you've got brands like Best Day.
That stays really strong in Philly.
Really,
Yeah.
their beers are good. Partake, Rationale.
Yeah.
So the thing is that like NA beer is hard to make and it's expensive.
Yep.
This is just a side thought. Peroni just the regular Peroni looks like an NA brand.
Right?
Whenever people walk up with it, is that Peroni Zero or is that Peroni? Their packaging looks like an NA brand.
Yes, it totally does. That's funny.
There's the blue ribbon on it. That's what all the other NA brands, they have like a little blue stripe and then 0.0.
Yeah.
And that's what their natural.
You're so right about that. Yeah, there's I don't know, there's Peronis in my mom's fridge right now. And my husband had taken one out and was like, I don't even know if this is NA or regular. Like,
We sent Sam Matiola out to grab beer for us one time, and he came back with the athletic beer because he thought it was out death.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, NA, I get on this platform a lot, but NA beer, don't drink it if it's not pasteurized.
Definitely.
Particularly for pregnant women. If I'm not eating bagged lettuce because it might have listeria, I'm not getting listeria from an NA craft beer.
Yeah, that was my. So we have this kind of running joke here that I'm anti-NA beer because I think that alcohol brands are just, like we said before, you're gaining a little bit of revenue by selling NA beers, but you're convincing people that alcohol is bad.
Yeah.
But then also the pasteurization and the danger of it is we do not want the FDA to get involved in alcohol. That is going to be an issue.
Totally.
Cool. All right. Do you have anything else?
No, this has been some of my favorite episodes are where I am just highly educated throughout the whole session.
Yeah, that was fun.
Okay, good and bad. This was fun.
Thank you for coming on. We finally got to work out with you in Jersey, so this was great.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Cool. And then where can we find? I know you guys have the podcast and BrewBound itself, right?
Yeah, so BrewBound.com, the BrewBound podcast. Like I said, we have a free newsletter, a paid newsletter. Would love for you to join our insider community, but I know not everybody has that in their budget. And you can find me on LinkedIn. And I also do very limited posting at BrewBound Jess on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on. And then you can follow us at BrewedAt, at the BrewedAt podcast. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yep, 5 stars, please. Thank you. Bye.